All right, so welcome to Why You Can't Stop Buying Lattes. My name is Courtney. I'm one of the peer financial wellness coaches, and I'm really excited about this presentation because I wanted to answer this question for myself, like, why can't I stop buying coffee every morning? Um, for me, I really enjoy budgeting and making a spending plan, but even as a peer coach, I struggle with spending habits. I think that it's something that everyone has to deal with. Um, Maybe you can't stop buying lattes. Maybe it's video games. Maybe it's door dashing, or it's just spending in general. But I hope this presentation will give you a little bit more insight into why you spend the way you do and kind of give you some ideas to help change that. Okay, so today we're going to cover your money mindset, talking about the fear of money, and also we're going to talk about the brain stuff that kind of goes behind some impulse shopping. And then we're going to go over some spending influencers as well. So my goal is that I hope that you'll be able to better improve your relationship with money so you can reach your goals. So the first thing I want to talk about is your money mindset. How do you feel about money? Do you get agitated when you think about budgeting and credit? Do you feel defeated, hopeless when you check your bank account? The attitude you have towards your money is your money mindset. So this is how you think about money, how you feel about money, and how you use your money. And maybe you don't have the best mindset right now, or maybe you can find ways to improve it. So let's kind of work on some of that. So we're going to go over some ways to make your mindset a little more positive. One, stop comparing yourself to others. Recognize that everyone's situation is different. Just because someone else is buying lattes every day doesn't mean that you can too. And it doesn't mean that they're making the best financial choices either. Um, I remember when we were on campus, someone in my class would come to class with a coffee every day. And that made me think that I should be able to do that too, because I am also a student. But that's not the case. I don't know what her bank account looks like, and I don't even know that she's making good choices either. So, kind of stop comparing myself to that person kind of helps me realize that my bank account is the only thing that matters to me. Two, practice gratitude. This one sounds really cheesy, but becoming more grateful and thankful for what you have can be a big game changer in how you perceive your money. So if you struggle with this one, I don't know, maybe do a daily mantra or a gratitude journal, or just reminding yourself to be grateful for what you have, or just telling yourself some things that you're thankful for every day can kind of help you get in that mindset of gratitude. Once again, I know that this is really cheesy, but it's just convincing yourself that what you have is already enough. So you kind of limit that feeling that you need more. And three, don't put your finances in the dark. Tackle your finances, make a budget, keep track of your money. That all can be very freeing. But you actually have to do those things, not just talk about them. So, mindset, know your why. When you set a new goal, maybe your new goal is to stop overspending, you need to have a reason why you want to change. So, in other words, you need to have a why. Having this reason in place is kind of the thing that helps you to stay motivated to achieve your goals. So you can still have a why to achieve financial goals. Um, your why could be your family. Maybe it's you really want to buy a house when you graduate, moving to a different city, whatever that thing is that you dream of or you want to look back on and be super proud of yourself, that's your why. Um, so take photos of your why, save it on your phone, set calendar reminders. Seeing things visually helps me. I used to have this, like my dream house is my background on my phone because it kind of motivated me to, go to class, study hard to keep on going for my degree. Um, Calendar reminders or writing it in your planner, just, hey, Don't forget, this is your goal. Don't forget, this is why your planner is so full and so stressful. Um, Keeping it in mind just helps you stay focused. My why is this future life that I want. I want a car, I want a house, a career, maybe not quite Kourtney Kardashian level of things, but I do want to be a powerful woman. And for me, that means getting through school. It means going to grad school. It means that I have to live like a broke student now so that I don't have to later. And that dream I have is it's my why, and it motivates me to control my spending and to save a little bit more. So use your why as your motivation and just speak it into existence. So what if our mindset is that we're just too fearful to start? Um, this quote from a psychologist is, as far as the brain is concerned, a threat is a threat is a threat. And instinctively, it pushes us to avoid these threats as if they were threats to our lives. And I think the heart of this quote, or what it's getting at, is that it doesn't matter if we perceive money and finances as a threat, or if we perceive a scary clown in the middle of the street in the middle of the night as a threat. We're going to avoid those things. And we don't want to avoid our finances. So let's kind of talk about overcoming the fear of money. The fear of looking at your bills. Um, so how many of you avoid looking at your bank account because you don't want to know what you spent? Um, this is a study done by Fidelity, and the results are that 36% look at their account every day, 30% once a week. Those are good ideas. 8% twice a month, 8% once a month, and 18% less than a month. And that's a large number to look at your bank account less than a month. I don't know how many that actually means. Maybe it's every month and a half, maybe it's once a year. Either way, that's not quite a good idea. And I like to think as checking your bank account less than a month is kind of like being an ostrich. Ostriches, is that the plural word for that? I don't know. But they're really fearful, and they're huge birds, but they tend to hide only their head underground when they're scared and not their entire body, because they have this idea of, if I can't see that scary thing, then I'm safe. Kind of the idea of not looking at your finances. If you're not looking at it, it doesn't mean that your bank account's okay. It doesn't mean that your finances are okay. So we kind of got to look at it. And the truth is, not looking at your bank account is actually very expensive. Been there, done that. I used to be the ostrich, and I felt like when I felt like I was going through this streak of overspending, I just wouldn't look at my bank account because I didn't want to know what I was spending. And when I didn't look, I missed things like overdraft fees, and I realized I was still getting charged for a subscription that I had canceled. And when I knew that I was overspending, I just kept going, kept overspending. And that was all things that I could have avoided if I had just looked at my account. I have a quote that says, "Tell yourself not knowing is worse, and then get support from someone." And that's kind of where financial wellness comes in. If you just need support, if you need someone to go with you, go through a budget with you, just to kind of walk you through it so you're not by yourself, or to make sure that you finish the budget, that's all that we're here for. Okay, the fear of budgeting. I think this tweet's really funny. It was a controversial tweet by Chase that was later deleted because it made a lot of people mad. I'm just gonna go ahead and read it. You, why is my balance so low? Bank account, make coffee at home. Bank account, eat the food that's already in the fridge. Bank account, you don't need a cab, it's only 3 blocks. You, I guess we'll never know. Bank account, seriously? Motivation Monday motivation. I think that's really funny. Um, so if you think that budgets are too complicated and restrictive, if you think it's going to tell you things that you don't want to deal with anymore and you won't have fun anymore, try systematically and repeatedly facing your fear. So systematically and repeatedly facing your fear is called graded exposure. So this might mean making a budget for tomorrow, and that's it. Baby steps. Then you can try a budget for a whole week of spending. Or maybe you just make one goal about one spending category. For example, maybe my goal is to spend $70 next week for groceries and restaurants. That's the only thing in my mind, not worrying about everything else, but that's a good first step to take. And then keep on adding to it. So if budgeting is your fear, try taking baby steps because baby steps are still progress. Okay, let's talk a little bit about some of the brain stuff that goes on behind why you're spending the way you are. We're going to talk about a monkey and a button and some old avatars. So dopamine, I have a feeling that everyone's kind of familiar with what that is. Technically, it's a neurotransmitter that plays a role in how we feel pleasure. So in this study, um, these scientists, they trained some monkeys. And in a session, they would signal to the monkeys with a flashing light that the session was about to start. And in the sessions, the monkeys pulled this lever 10 times for food. And then after they pulled it 10 times, they were rewarded with the food. This is going to talk about it a little bit.
This monkey has been trained that when the little light comes on, it's one of those sessions where I can now get food. And it knows that if I press this lever 10 times, after a little bit of a delay, I'll get some food. If I press the lever 10 more times, I'll get some more food. It understands the task. So what do we have here? We have first a signal, the light coming on saying it's one of those sessions. We're starting one of those. Then the monkey does the work, and then with a delay, it gets the reward. And what everyone initially thought was dopamine would go up after the reward. That's not when it goes up. It goes up when the signal comes on. What's this? This is the monkey there sitting and saying, I know this. I know the drill. I know this. I'm on top of this. This is going to be great. I know what I do now. This is completely perfect. 100% I'm going for today. Dopamine is not about pleasure. It's about the anticipation of pleasure. It's about the pursuit of happiness.
Okay, just the next slide. Oh, yeah. Okay. So this dopamine study is actually really relevant when it comes to shopping. So in this study, as he said, the monkeys, the dopamine came, their pleasure came when they were actually pulling that lever, not when they actually got the food. So in an example of online shopping, which I think online shopping is really went up lately, right? I think a combination of the pandemic and like TikTok has really driven the online shopping market. If you've seen those must have Amazon by number 247 on TikTok, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But consumer spending, which is this e-commerce platform, measured how much spending went up, and it went up by over like 44% this past year, according to the US Commerce Department. So I think it's safe to say online shopping has only gotten way, way bigger. So interestingly, your brain calculates how buying an object of desire will feel before you actually buy it. So that means the dopamine occurs when you put items in your shopping cart, when you're picking those items out. The reward is the act of picking out clothes, shoes, cool gadgets, searching for those things, and making those decisions. It's not actually the dopamine, the pleasure doesn't actually come from purchasing it, clicking the buy button, not even from actually receiving those items. So when we get home with those items, or once we have that package, getting a package at the door is really fun, but I don't think that's what the study is kind of hinting at. But actually having those new shoes in your possession, those new clothes in your possession, it doesn't actually give us the pleasure that we had when we picked them out. So if online shopping is kind of your thing, something you can try is just to put items in your cart. Like it's just a window shopping, like it's a hobby. And that's it. Walk away, leave it, don't press buy. Um, challenge yourself to wait if you think you really want it. Will you really want it in a week? Or will you have been over it and realized you were fine without it for an entire week? So maybe you don't need it at all. So trying to, if you find yourself shopping online, trying not to actually hit that buy button and just waiting it out. I don't know what's happening with my workmate. Okay, so delayed reward discounting. This refers to a person's preference for small immediate rewards versus larger delayed rewards. For example, buying fast food now because you're really hungry versus waiting until you get home to cook a cheap, healthy meal. Um, Getting that fast food now is a small, immediate reward, and waiting later for a cheaper, healthier, probably tastier reward, meal is a larger reward, but it's also delayed. And this is a concept that you all understand now because you're students. You chose to go to school rather than working that full-time, probably lower wage job. If you're working that job and still going to school anyway, props to you. That's awesome. But you're giving up some of your time for school. You're investing in yourself because you expect a bigger reward at the end. You expect maybe a better job, better career. You expect something with your education. So you're in it for that larger delayed reward. So now I want to do a little exercise. I want you to imagine yourself in the future. So maybe it's you're just getting out of your brand new car and you're walking into your office with your awesome career, the job, your dream job. Maybe it's you checking your student loans and they're all paid off and you have tons of money in your savings. Maybe it's you walking into your dream home, um, picking out your dream home, anything like that. So just take a moment to imagine yourself being in the future. And now I want to ask if you pictured yourself in third person or first person. So, third person being you envisioned yourself kind of like in a movie, like you saw yourself walking around and doing things. Or if you envisioned in first person, you like only saw your hands do things like driving the car or opening up the door to your house. If you answered third person, that's the usual answer for this question. That's what most people do when they picture their future selves. Um, and then I kind of want to talk about this study that kind of went behind the reason I'm talking about this. So there was this, I think it was Stanford. Yeah, it was a Stanford study where they found that brief exposure to aged images of yourself can change the way you think about the future. So for their study, they had people play a game online or on a console, something. And in this game, they played avatars of themselves. Half of the group played digital avatars of their selves at this age. And then the other half played avatars of themselves and um, their older aged self with like bags under their eyes, wrinkles, gray hair, all of that great stuff. And in the game, they came across a mirror where they got to see what they looked like. So they knew if they were the young avatar that kind of represented them now, or if they were that older avatar that represented their older selves. And then they were asked to allocate $1,000 across a couple different events, like investing in a retirement fund or buying something special now or planning an event. And they found that the people who were the old avatars put nearly twice as much money into retirement as the other people. So those who saw their own future older selves were more likely to favor long-term rewards. When you picture your future self, it's very common to picture third person, like you're picturing yourself in a movie. You don't actually feel like you're the one doing those things. And so that's kind of makes it a little bit easier for us to do things like not save for retirement or kind of put off those long-term goals or put off those student loans for future selves because we feel really disconnected to our future self. So when we feel closer to our future selves, we're more likely to favor long-term rewards. So maybe this exercise, you don't have to see an old picture of yourself to picture your future self. But the whole point of this was to realize that your future you is still you. So what you do with your bank account and your money now is still part of that same person in the future. Future you doesn't have a completely different life. It's all you. And I think that's really good motivation for spending. Here's some solutions to this problem. Recognizing that future you is you. That student loan that you're taking out now, future you is still going to have that student loan, debt, savings. It's all relevant now. Be patient and consider the long term. Um, so avoiding impulse shopping and pausing to think about purchases before you make them and asking yourself, could this money have been spent or can this money be used in a better way? Look for that future reward. And delay gratification. Do you want a small reward now or a bigger one in the future? Um, Buying little things like lattes sound good, but a healthy savings account in the future or lower debt in the future sounds even better. So next, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about spending influencers. We're going to talk about social facilitation, family habits, and a tempting environment. Okay, let's look at some Instagram. This is a girl who posts her Instagram photos, and she also posts what they look like before she edits them. So that's a before, after, or that's actually the before. This is the Instagram. This is the real life. And this one's my favorite. This one looks really good like a magazine, but this is what she actually looks like on the street. I love these. Okay, so social facilitation. It's when the presence of other people pushes you to achieve better results. When I think of this, I think about how I ran cross country in high school. And if our coach told us to go run a couple miles by ourselves on a Sunday afternoon, 9 times out of 10, no one actually did it. But if he told us to go run a couple miles on a Wednesday when we all had practice together, you better believe we all ran those miles together. Um, it's the whole team together, there's more morale. We might tell on each other, but the idea is that we always got more miles done as a team. But there's also a negative side to this. So, like going shopping or out to eat with your friends, that might make you want to spend more. And it makes rational decision making so much more tough. Seeing everyone do awesome stuff on Instagram, wearing cute clothes, making us feel like we're missing out, like we need to go do something cool, some cool vacation. That's all social facilitation. So the key is to recognize when this happens. Know when social facilitation is taking place. Know when an influencer is getting in your head. Sometimes just recognizing that it's happening is a way to help you get out of that mindset of spending. So if you start looking at your spending and you realize that you spend way more money when you do things with your friends, maybe this doesn't apply to you right now. Maybe this is more of a high, pre-pandemic kind of situation. Maybe it's something that's coming up for you. But if you feel like you spend way more money when you're eating out with friends, shopping with friends, it doesn't mean that your friends are the problem or you can't hang out with them. You can just make a plan. So if eating out gets too expensive, be the one that kind of makes ideas of, let's kind of do something that's free, like rentals at the aquatic center, if there's a sex ed student, going to the well together, doing um, YouTube yoga videos together, something like that. Just hanging out at home and cooking together, going to the park, going on a hike. Um, or, you can still go out to eat. Something I like to do is if I'm kind of on a tight budget that week is eat at home and then order an appetizer if I go out and eat with my friends. That's just my little way to continue to hang out with my friends, but not break the bank. Appetizers are usually way cheaper. Okay, family habits. Um, Progressive disclaimer, we are not promoting progressive. I think this commercial really fits well into the message of this, so let's go ahead and watch it. Definitely not what I wanted it to do. Okay, I don't think it's gonna play. Okay, I don't think it's gonna play. Maybe you've seen this one. It's where he's kind of like the life coach of how to not be your parents. Um, it's really funny if you ever have seen them, but so the idea of how family habits can influence your money. This is kind of talking about how your parents raised you and handled their own finances. Those things can have a huge impact on how you make decisions and your financial decisions as an adult. Maybe your parents lived large, or maybe they lived frugally. Maybe they never even talked about money. Those things can leave lasting impressions on the children. So now as an adult, you might still have some of those habits, whether they're good habits or bad habits. Um, but kind of realizing what those habits are, kind of deciding what they are, evaluating their influence on you. Um, that's a great way to start thinking about what you're doing. Um, as I've gotten older, I've made more friends and realized that the way that we grew up is very different. They had completely different environments than me, so their mindset and their ideas about money are completely different than mine. And that's not a bad thing, and it's not their fault or it's not my fault. But it is something that's important to recognize, because when you can recognize those things, you can start to question the things that you're doing to kind of help guide yourself into a better position. So evaluate your family's influence on you. What can you learn from them? And then educating yourself. So taking the time to educate yourself to learn things that maybe you weren't taught or you never saw in your family. And then just making the best decision for yourself. Okay, so tempting environments. Things like emails. I have a spam email that I have all my, when I log into a site and they say, do you want a coupon? I put this spam email account. So I have like a coupon email account. So if I ever go to a store and I'm about to check out, I can check my spam email account for coupons. But the idea there is that I don't ever check that account unless I need a coupon. So that means that I'm not getting all of these advertisements. I don't see those on a daily basis. They're not in my important email. Apps like Starbucks apps are really tempting. Um, I found that the Starbucks rewards app was making me spend more money than it was giving me rewards. So maybe deleting apps if they're rewards apps and they're actually just making you want to go there more often or spend more. Um, the phone is a really good tempting place with apps to make you want to spend money in certain places. So kind of be mindful of what apps you have on your phone. Commute. If you always drive by your favorite Dutch Bros or something, and that makes you want to spend money there, can you take a way around that? You know, try not to tempt yourself if you can. Where do you and your friends hang out? Where do you like to go? Something I like to mention is where I like to shop. Um, Trader Joe's is awesome. I love Trader Joe's for groceries. Some of their organic stuff is actually really cheap, but it's really tempting with all their really cool products and snacks and things that I always want to try. So I end up always spending way more than I intended if I go to Trader Joe's. So maybe kind of steering away from Trader Joe's if I can is a way for me to not tempt myself. Um, and setting yourself up for success. What do you do in your free time? Do you walk around the mall? Do you browse? Do you go internet shopping online? Asking yourself kind of those things. I don't know what's going on with my PowerPoint. Sorry. Let's try this again. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about is the Diderot effect. Um, So this is when obtaining a new possession often creates a spiral of consumption, which leads you to acquire more new things. So when you feel the urge to buy new things to match another new purchase you made, that kind of creates a spiral of consumption. For example, I plan on getting my own apartment soon. So I've been doing a lot of shopping and Pinterest looking and deciding what I want my furniture to look like. At first, I started with those used apps like Let Go, stuff like that, um, marketplace apps. And then I realized that I slowly started going to new furniture stores like Living Spaces, Ashley's, Target, looking at the new furniture to see what that looks like. And then I was like, okay, well, I can buy a new couch. I can reward myself with a new couch, and then everything else will be used. So I start looking at new couches. And then I realized that they have really cute brand new coffee tables that go really well with a new couch. And if I have a new couch and a new coffee table, I want a new rug to go with it, and then maybe also a new lamp. And then my kitchen stuff should probably be new too, because my living room is so new. So this is kind of the Diderot effect, where one new thing spirals you into wanting other new things. Another good example is like prom dresses. If you buy this brand new awesome prom dress, you might also want to buy brand new makeup, brand new shoes, things like that. How one new purchase makes you want a whole bunch of other new things. So what can you do when you're in a spiral of consumption? This is where the power of decision elimination can be really helpful. So reduce your exposure to things, avoid things that trigger your habits. That's unsubscribing from emails, unfollowing um, Instagram influencers that sell a bunch of stuff or make you feel like you need to buy a bunch of stuff. Changing locations when you when you go to hang out with family or friends, meet at a park instead of a restaurant. Um, Shopping websites, take your card off. If your card is saved on things and it makes checking out super easy. Take your card off. Take apps off your phone. Make it more difficult for you to go and shop. And then buy items that fit your current system. So maybe buying a new couch isn't a great idea for me. Maybe I should stick to a used couch and all used everything. Set self-imposed limits. So limits that work for you. Maybe your limit is to go a whole month without buying something new. Don't allow yourself to buy any new items for 1 month. Instead of buying a new outfit, maybe rent one. Instead of buying a new, like, I don't know, if you own a house, like a new lawnmower, just rent one. Um, get a new shirt from a thrift store instead of a department store. You know, let yourself be resourceful by those limitations that you set for yourself. And I just want to end with this quote. Money principles are simple. It's human psychology that's complex. Um, I just want to end by saying do what works for you. It's okay to buy coffee if you value it. I'm not telling you not to buy lattes or whatever it is that you like to spend money on. You might just have to cut expenses somewhere else. Sticking to the spending plan is the hard part. You know that you should stick to a spending plan. You know that you should make one, but it's the psychology part where you actually have to stick to it that's really hard. Um, so if you want better spending habits, looking into your mindset, facing your fears, finding out what's actually influencing your spending and setting goals, restrictions, and whatever it may be to get your spending where you want it to be. And if you need help making a spending plan, you can always come visit us at Financial Wellness. You can go to our website. If you go to Sac State website, just search for financial wellness, click schedule an appointment, and you can schedule a one-on-one free confidential coaching session with a peer coach. You can always send us quick little emails for questions. Or maybe it's not quick, but you can always email us as well. And following us on Instagram is a great way to stay up to date with workshops. Um, we're going to drop in the chat the link for Leadership Initiative. If you'd like to fill that out for credit, we'll turn that in pretty shortly after the presentation. So make sure that you do it in the next 30 minutes. That would be great. And then also, I think Maria is going to drop a flyer in the chat for some workshops for April. And then Maria is going to go ahead and get us started for the giveaway.
Thank you, Courtney. I'm going to stop recording.